is going on, RotoGrinders? Right now, it's 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up to lock. Well, what is that? Wait, it's an hour and a half till 7 o'clock. No. Yes, it's a Friday night, but lock is 7:30. 7:30 lock time, and the slate officially fully locks at 8 o'clock. I like that. We'll see. We're cutting off the last few games. This is where it makes a lot of sense to me, especially if you're, it's Friday night. People like to do things. People like to leave the house. Joining me today, two of the absolute best in the business to break it down. 8-game main slate. We have Kirkwood, Chris Kirkwood. We'll talk to him in just a second. You guys know him. He's Kid Yahoo, leader of the Juggalos, Juggalo Nation. Shout out. And Squirrel Patrol. Squirrel is back. Squirrel, who's taken down numerous tournaments, a ridiculous amount of live final appearances. At least one takedown in the live finals. What's up, Squirrel? How was Friday treating you? Do you like? I don't want to have this conversation, but do you like this slate specifically? This setup to me, I think it's all. I love a sprint slate. I'm a sucker for a sprint slate. 7:30. I think it's 3 games at 7:30 and 5 at 8. I feel like that's the breakdown. But we're locked. We're good to go. 8 o'clock. 8:01. You can spend time with the family. You can fire up the Netflix. Whatever you want to do. You can leave the house. Do we like this?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Actually, I think it's like a NBA DFS saver. I don't know how much longer NBA DFS could even go, with these 10 o'clock games and late swap and people changing their lineups up, especially on Fridays. We just have to let the people go out, enjoy their Friday evening. And I'm actually much more inclined to play a late slate or a showdown slate for the 10:30 game. If I'm not having to think about how the lineup changes affect my lineups for the 7 o'clock slate. So I think it is a win for everybody. I think they should do this. I think they should make the 10 o'clock slates bigger, and that might actually grow as they keep this format going if they keep it going.
It's a win for the sites too. They can double rake you, so they probably don't hate that either. So Kirkwood, welcome, happy Friday.
Yeah,
anything to add on that?
It's not a win for me, for the people who play Yahoo still.
Is Yahoo's full slate?
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, everyone likes to tilt the late slate, so if you're having a rough main slate and it ended, and then you just fire in the late one if you want to. I'm all for it. I agree. That 10:30, when they have a 10:30 Lakers game or a 10:30 Clippers, it just gets so brutal here on the, plus I'm up at 6:30 with the baby now. So I'm the old man who's a team make it faster, make it quicker, make it earlier.
Fair enough. I'm sure the chat's going to chime in as well. If you're hanging out in the chat, do kindly hit the like button. Yeah, subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Let you know when we go live. By the way, it is a giveaway. It's a giveaway Friday. How do you go about and get yourself 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium? Producer Devin's going to be showing off the bells and the whistles on the screen, the lineup HQ. And if you want access to that, if you want to use that at your own leisure, for not just for NBA, but all the sports, all you got to do is jump in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go into the live stream chat channel. Devin has a post there. Just thumb up that post. He will take your screen name and throw it up on a wheel. We're going to spin that wheel at 6:30 on the East Coast. And if your name pops up, Devin will hook you up with a week free of RG Premium. B-Shot's not happy. He's just somehow I'm getting credit for this. I mean, you're giving me too much credit. I was at the front of this. I was kind of saying that we should probably do this as far as getting rid of these games, just because, and that was I thought I was doing it on behalf of the people, but I don't know what the people want. I think the real hardcore grinders probably want those last several games, but I think the masses and also the edge-wise, probably a bigger edge for those that are fully paying attention, those that have a bunch of lineups, those that are going to be, sitting there figuring out how to late swap and all that. But Devin is actually dropping in a poll question for the people. Answer that poll question as well. Cutting off the late slate, is it logical or we do not like it? I like pain. Devin's kind of framing that question. He's basically telling the people how to answer that. Devin, I guess you have an opinion. You have a thought on that, because it feels like you are.
No, I'm totally impartial. Absolutely neutral. Middle of the road.
There you go. All right.
Before we get cooking, I wanna bring attention to you went back to the tanning salon yesterday.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
You're asking me? Oh, am I red again?
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sunburn. It's all right.
Got the whole lobster thing going for me. You know what it is? I think it's like depends on how much light I have the ring light, and like if I blast it, I'm fully white, and if I don't fully juice it up, I'm too red. But like if I blast it, then I'm like I need sunglasses. It's like right in my eyes. But there's got to be a happy median there somewhere where Goldilocks will be happy, but haven't quite figured that out. But little color in the face, that's all right. No big deal. We'll figure it out.
A little healthy glow for you.
Kirkwood, give me the screenshot as far as this 8-gamer, because there's not a lot of body parts we're waiting for, right? Stuff can certainly happen. It's the association, it's the NBA. But as things stand right now, not a lot of news we're waiting for. Like Jalen Smith is questionable, Naismith as well. It seems like those guys are going to play. Smith was kind of rolled out there at the last second. Something flared up in warm-ups. Bogdanovich has already been ruled out. That's Detroit Bogdanovich. Gobert is questionable. I guess that matters to some degree. Hero's already been ruled out for Miami. Of course, Butler's still out. We are getting LaMelo back. I guess not official, but he's expected to come back tonight. Pascal Siakam, that's on the late slate, so we're not really worried about that. Toronto, if they were on the slate, Toronto, I think would be really, really popular, but they're not on the slate. But, Kirkwood, what are your thoughts here? Because I feel like we're not waiting for a ton. So Beef Stew coming back, Isaiah Stewart coming back, Caleb Martin will be available for Miami as well. But, we'll see. But as of right now, not a lot of news and not like a lot of crazy value, at least the way I see things.
Yeah, I agree. We do have some great, I think this is an awesome slate. I mean, we have the 8 games, which is more than enough. We've got some massive totals, right? We've got Indy, Atlanta, 252, Sac, Philly, 241, Charlotte, San Antonio, 236. So those are like the big total games and the fast-paced teams. And, the interesting thing is LaMelo's back for Charlotte. So maybe Charlotte will start playing a little bit more competitive. Although we still have to worry about Portland, who is just it's ruined. And I mean, basically NBA seems like last night I swore off NBA. I'm like, this NBA is ruined. It was just blowout. The
Blazers broke you.
I mean, my Celtics hurt, right? Obviously that one hurt, but that's a schedule loss. I'm not counting it back to back after an OT game. Didn't expect much, but just blowout city, man. But so tonight, we've got some nice competitive games, at least by the look of it. And we do have a little bit of value. We've got some value from the Heat, some players like that. We've got, and you're right, there's not much big news to really to wait on either. The late slate for me, I have to worry about the Toronto game over on Yahoo, but that we don't have to talk about that.
There's never been a game where one opponent has doubled up the other opponent fully. I Googled that last night, and I was curious because at the end of the 3 quarters, I believe Portland was getting doubled up. So that was the most interesting thing to monitor last night. They were down by 60 or so, maybe 65, and they closed strong in the 4th quarter. So they did not get doubled up, but that would have been fun, would have been interesting. TNT was like, hey, this game is too much of a washout. We got to get rid of it. That's how bad it was. All the games were bad. The basketball was terrible. I fired up the Netflix. I guess it wasn't Netflix last night. It was Peacock. We fired up the old Peacock last night earlier than usual. Squirrel, you probably like that, though. You probably lean into that kind of nonsense. How did things go for you last night? And we can't just assume they're all going to be blowouts going forward, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
It actually turned out surprisingly well. Made a little bit of money on FanDuel, and I don't know if I lost money on DraftKings or not, but yeah, it worked out okay. I kind of had this theory. Everybody's on the Dallas and Knicks game, and I said you got to either fully stack that game or get off of it because that game could be a blowout. And then you're going to want a bunch of pieces from some other game. What happened is every other game blew out except for that game. So I ended up with it. I ended up doing pretty well. It's those Dallas Knicks teams kind of rose to the top. So yeah, worked out. And the Tim Hardaway news was big. He was starting instead of Jaden Hardy.
Yes, yeah, and then he just went nuts too. And Kyrie did Kyrie things as well. I think he scored at least 40 in the bucket. I think he had 40 and 10 or 40 and 11 as far as assists. By the way, the LaMelo thing, I pulled up the expert survey. I'll give this nugget out for the people. The Hornets ranked 7th in pace through the first 15 games of the season with LaMelo running the show. Over the next 20 games without LaMelo, 29th in pace. So 7th in pace to 29th in pace. LaMelo expected to return tonight in a matchup versus the Spurs, who ranked 3rd in pace this season. And I also segue there because, Squirrel, I know I don't want to give everything away, but it sounds like, reading the expert survey, you like the Spurs. You like the Spurs a lot.
Yeah. Did your research there. So yeah, my Washington Wizards are not on the slate, but I think the next like 5 teams in terms of points per game allowed are all on the slate. Atlanta, Indiana, Detroit, San Antonio, and Charlotte, and 2 of those are just whole games, right? Like so, San Antonio and Charlotte, and Indiana and Atlanta. Seems like Indiana and Atlanta play each other a lot, and always a high total. But yeah, so I like that. I like the San Antonio side probably more than the Charlotte side of that game, just because like LaMelo coming back could mess things up. But yeah, it's some appealing games out there.
All right. Anything else you want to say, Scroll, before we kind of dive in and go game by game? Anything else of note, or we're just kind of figure it out and discuss it organically?
No, yeah, just like let's go game by game. It's interesting that Pascal Siakam news, not an impact on FanDuel and DraftKings. How about that?
Yeah, but I think that's part of it, right? Because you're like, well, how many spaces do I can leave open if he doesn't play? In Toronto, I think already looks good as is. To be fair, I didn't do the research, but I did see the if then, and the if then if Pascal is out, everybody looks good against the Jazz. Jazz, of course, are a really good matchup, but we don't have to worry about that. Only worry about that if you are playing on, I'm sure there's some night slates out there, some showdown stuff. Very first game of the slate, and again, three games, 7:30, 5 games, 8 o'clock, sprint slate. Let's do it. Very first game we're going to talk about is the Kings. The Kings at the Sixers, 241.5 is the total. It is high and tight, right? Sacramento, just a 1.5 point dog here versus Philadelphia. Nothing new when it comes to the Sixers as far as Embiid. Embiid is still out. If you have MVP tickets on Embiid, be very scared. He's probably not going to get that 65 game total, or it's looking pretty dicey at best. Covington's still out as well with his knee. That doesn't matter as much. And Kevin Huerter, who just got reinserted to the starting lineup, he is not playing for the second consecutive game. Kirkwood, yeah, Sacramento, Philly. Sabonis looks like one of the best studs on the slate. He is smashing the world, and the absence of Embiid should make life a lot easier for him. One of my favorite big spends on the slate is Domantas Sabonis. What say you? Talking about him, talking about the Kings. Feel free to jump over the Sixers as well.
Yeah, I like this game. I like it to go over too. So I think this is going to be both of these teams are willing to play fast. And with Embiid off the court, Philly will play a little faster, and Sacramento should push the pace in this one. So I do like this game overall. It does have a nice juicy total. I think, the one who's going to be interesting on the one from getting the most ownership is Malik Monk, because he's getting that role change with Huerter. And he's also, their offense has been a little bit stagnant as of late, and he's one of their guys who gets buckets. He's a bucket. So I'd be a little careful about what to expect. He was playing his former team, Charlotte, in a great matchup in the last one and got 35 fantasy points. But the thing that's in 30 minutes, if you're going to give him 28, 30 minutes like you've seen in the last 2 games and 25+% usage on a slate where we don't have a lot of glaring value, I think Malik Monk is going to be a solid play. I love Sabonis, like you said. I think Maxey is a good play. His price is going to keep people away. And then you can get into the other guys like maybe Tobias or Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles, 3,700 on a slate like tonight. He's gonna be owned.
Is he? Is that how gross it is?
Yeah, that he's one of the value plays tonight because he's 3,700.
14%, 20 minutes, but a 17-point projection. Yuck. And Batum in the same game to that same point.
I don't even acknowledge Batum's existence anymore. I just overlook him completely.
I don't want to play either one of those guys. It's really, really gross. But like you said, if you want to find ways to spend up on players like Sabonis, on players like Maxey, maybe that's what we have to do. Squirrel, are we stupid? Are we scraping the barrel? Are we playing? Do we have Batum in our pool? Do we have guys like Trey Lyles in our pool?
I think you can do some Batum. This game's kind of interesting because the pricing is a little bit different. So like Sabonis is only 9,900 on FanDuel. And he's power forward eligible, so he doesn't clog the center spot. You can still get like Alperen Sengun. On DraftKings, Sabonis is 10,200. Like that's much more difficult price to pay. of course, Nick Batum is only 4,100, so you can play both of them on all game stack. But actually, I like the bench guys on DraftKings a lot better, Malik Monk and Trey Lyles, because you kind of need the salary there. On FanDuel, I actually like the starters better, Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. But yeah, Batum's kind of popping up on both sites. There's just we said, there's not a ton of injury news, but then that means you have to play some Nick Batum.
Because the thing is his minutes. His minutes are. They gave. What are you doing? Nick Nurse will give anyone 37 minutes.
Yeah, and at 4,100, 4,300, I don't know. You could do worse.
Yeah.
Oh, he played 37 last game. That was an overtime game, and I don't even know if he was playing overtime. So, Maxey fouled out. Was he the guy that came in for Maxey? I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Melton. Melton was on a minutes limit. I would just be cautious on him. I don't know what his minutes are going to jump up to. I think we had it at 30 minutes earlier today, and I thought that was, again, I'm not on the projection team. Okay, dropped it down to 29. 30 felt a little bit hot for me as far as Melton. And again, I don't know if they're going to fully unleash him and let him play 30-31. 29-30 feels like about the cap for me. And, they're asking full price for him too. Yeah. Tobias Harris. Do we like Harris? What about the Sixers? Paul Reed, just sort of throwing some names at you. Maxey, of course, looks really, really good here. The absence of Embiid here, Squirrel. Is this an interesting game stack? Because I guess you really want Maxey and Sabonis, but then you're already pinching pennies trying to figure it out the rest of the way. As far as overall, you talked about the cheapies. How about the studs?
Yeah, I think you can do it. My favorite actually might be Tobias Harris. But yeah, I mean, you can play some Tyrese Maxey. It's an interesting game stack because I don't love this game. It's we talk about Indiana, Atlanta, Charlotte, San Antonio. This is not that kind of game. But yeah, I think you could do worse in a game stack here. 241.5 total. That's actually bigger than the Charlotte San Antonio game, and it's got a close line there. So yeah, actually, I think a game stack here works.
Just pulling up and looking at the ownership stuff specific to DK. We'll look at the FanDuel as well. But yeah, 24% for Monk, Maxey 16, Harris at 15. We mentioned Lyles and Batum being in the teens as well. If Sabonis is only 7% on DK, if that holds, and I don't know if it will, but that feels to me a little bit low. I think it's going to be higher. Yeah, definitely higher. Like Scroll kind of laid out there on FanDuel. 9-9 and power forward / center eligibility, 25% owned. Probably somebody you're playing in your cash games on FanDuel. I did run some optimals. It's interesting with optimals today. There's not many players that are fully smashing. Josh Richardson, currently the most popular player hitting my optimals on FanDuel. That's comfortable. And also the most popular on DK. Yeah. So Malik Monk is the fourth most popular I have. So the most popular guy on my DK stuff. Anything else we just stress here as far as this game? Kirkwood, you got anything else as far as Philly and Sacramento, or shall we move on?
No, I'll move on. But Devin threw out the Nick Batum usage in that game.
6%.
Yeah, that's why I just can't play that guy. But I'm with you with Sabonis. I think he should abuse Paul Reed in the pick and roll and be off. This is a guy who scored 77 DraftKings points in 2 of his last 5 right now. So
we should mention, by the way, if you want to talk about playing hot or just being good, in a good spot or however you want to say it, and playing well of late. Murray's been phenomenal as well. I don't know if we mentioned Murray or not there on Sacramento, but he has been spectacular. You mentioned the Batum usage, that feels like an outlier, 6%. Not really. His usage in the season, 8.3%, which is it's more than 6, but still not very appealing. Okay,
I'll give one little word of caution with Keegan Murray in this spot. He has been killing it, but Philly is the second best at limiting opponent threes, and that's when Murray gets hot, is when he starts lighting it up from 3.
All right, that's a good little nugget. Don't mind that. Yeah, it feels like a game.
I gotta say what's up to my man Butthole Jenkins. He's in chat. I had to say that.
All right. Are you gonna have you're gonna figure, not just yet? Obviously, you got to tease it. But is there a feel it in your plums play coming maybe later on the show for Butto? Everybody else?
We can't force that. It's got to see if it comes to us
organically. It'll happen. I feel like it's going to happen. You got an hour.
Organic feel it in the plums is the way to go.
You might feel somebody in the plums as far as the Pacers and the Hawks, because 252 is a big boy total for sure. Atlanta is a 6-point favorite here versus the Pacers. Pacers certainly still dealing with life without Halliburton. No Halliburton for Indiana. Jalen Smith, Naismith, both currently questionable. It seems like they're going to play, but nothing official just yet. Atlanta, a couple probable tags for Capella and Trae Young. Everybody else doesn't really matter. DeAndre Hunter's been out for a while with his knee. We don't care about Wes Matthews. Garrison Matthews is questionable with his ankle. I know that's one of your guys, Kirkwood, but come on, you're not really ever going to play.
Gary Bird.
No, he's you got to earn that nickname. That is not. I don't know if that's an official nickname or not, but he does not deserve Gary Bird. I don't think he deserves.
I may have been a little high on him.
Yeah, because it's a fun. It worked out, but the game probably doesn't match the legend of Larry. Okay, let's have Squirrel start this one off. As far as your take when it comes to Atlanta and Indiana, I would imagine that there is some interest in this game because high and pretty tight, two fast teams, some interesting pieces.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those higher point total games. Indiana is an interesting team because I think they allow the second most points per game in the NBA. But they don't give up a bunch of 3-pointers. They're actually best in the league at not giving up 3-pointers. Yet they allow the third most points per game in the NBA. So they just allow a ton of points in the paint. So we think Atlanta, Indiana, we think Trae Young. And DeJounte Murray's got a really good price on DraftKings. So I think I'll be playing a good amount of him over on DraftKings. But the guys you may want to consider actually Clint Capella, maybe Okongwu. And the starting lineup here is going to matter, I think, for Indiana. They change things up every once in a while. And they do have a couple questionable guys like Aaron Nesmith and Jalen Smith. But I kind of like Andrew Nembhard. He's much cheaper than his backup, TJ McConnell. So I like Nembhard, especially if Aaron Nesmith is out. And then if Jalen Smith ends up out, we got to consider maybe a little bit like Miles Turner or Isaiah Jackson. Maybe some top.
Just want to mention the Nembhard thing. Last game, no Halliburton. Nembhard and McConnell basically played the 48 with the exception of 30 seconds or so where neither were on the court. McConnell played 21 minutes, 25 seconds. He was awesome in those 21 minutes, 25 seconds from a fantasy perspective because he's a great fantasy player. Also was facing your Wizards. But yeah, Nate, was it Nembhard 26-11? He drew the start. McConnell did get the close. He only played the last 3 minutes or so of the fourth. Played the start of the fourth as well. But again, just 21 minutes. I want to get a couple more, but he's a really, really good fantasy point minute player, obviously. And this feels like a game where McConnell can shine. The other thing I thought was interesting, Scroll, you kind of talked about it, Indiana. Your Wizards, you know how bad your Wizards are. The Pacers give up 2.5 more points in the paint, 61.3 to get all specific and technical to opponents, the worst in the league. A lot of it's in transition as well. So, yeah, the inside stuff or just Trae in transition feels pretty good against your Hawks. Your thoughts there, Kirkwood, as far as Atlanta, as far as Indiana? Do we like this as a game stack? It's feels like it's hard to just ignore this game completely.
Yeah, the shootout in this game potential is just too much. And Squirrel did nail it with Indy being first at limiting the threes, but a lot in the paint. So basically I like Bruce Brown a lot because from facilitating the offense on the assists, and he can score. And he can play at a nice fast pace, and he'll take it to the hoop. Might get some defensive stats out of him. So I like him. And then I also like I like Miles Turner on the Indy side. I can't play. I just don't like Nembhard. I just don't. I watch him too much, and I just don't think he has it offensively. But I always end up. So I know that was controversial. Our favorite Twitter follow was the McConnell fish got there, Nembhard as the starter, but I side with the McConnell fish personally because he's such a good point per minute producer. And then if you look at his historical rates, that doesn't mean anything to me because this is a team that's setting records from a pace and scoring standpoint in the NBA. Obviously, he's going to have a higher fantasy point per minute this season. So. 7K is a little much. I don't expect him to break the slate or anything, but I think you can get away with playing him. On the Atlanta side, I mean, it's hard to overlook what Jalen Johnson's doing, but that 72 price tag is crazy. But then you look, I mean, I can't believe he got 64 fantasy points. Like I never would have
he looks
that.
great.
Yeah.
He's definitely he's ascending.
Yes. I agree. I like the DeJounte Murray call. I like him a lot. I think this game fits him a little better. Plus, Trae Young's been a little bit banged up as of late, but and played a ton of minutes. But so I like DeJounte.
Anybody mentioned Mathurin? Mathurin coming off the bench, but probably closes. He's like he can actually score. Like I'm kind of with you. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Kirk. But I don't like playing them hard. I would also like if I was running a bunch of stuff. This is probably more of a squirrel question. Are you maxing one of McConnell and Nemhard? Squirrel, is that something you're doing? Because it doesn't seem like. I guess it's possible. I think it was like 35 or 40 minutes or so they played together this season, but typically they don't play together. And they didn't do it last game. Is that a rule you're implementing? Are you having some McConnell at all?
I'm probably not going to be playing a bunch of McConnell just because like he's the one that's really priced up and he's the backup. And like even if he's closing, like I think the minutes are going to be about the same. And I think Nemhard has a chance to close. Like if he's having a good game. So I'm probably not going to set that rule just because I'm not going to get any TJ McConnell organically. But I generally do like to set a rule. If guys like really split time like that, where like they never share the court, I usually like to split it unless it's a like really small slate.
It feels like the Pacers bigs, you should probably have rules for them too, because you never really know Toppin, Jackson, Turner. One of those like 5K guys usually get there, and another one is in foul trouble and he plays like 12 minutes. It's hard. They're just kind of a deep team where even without Halliburton, they play a lot of guys and not many play above 30 minutes, which is sort of frustrating, but it just is what it is, I suppose.
Around Thanksgiving, I just want to point out, around Thanksgiving, these two teams met and the score was 157 to 152.
Yeah, well, Halliburton played that game, and I did. They played a little bit slower without Halliburton, which I think is not terribly surprising. I was looking at small sample stuff, obviously, but I was looking, and I could have went and just kicked them off the court and ran the entire season. I did not do that, but I looked at their last game. Their pace was a little bit slower. It wasn't slow, but it was a little bit slower than it has been throughout the season. Do you like the over in this game? It's a huge number.
I would like it with Halliburton now. I'd stay away from. I don't know how to. I don't like it either way. I don't like it. I hate it.
That's kind of where I'm. Yeah, I'm afraid that's. I want Halliburton in there for scoring.
I like the over in the sack Philly game for sure, though.
Is this a showcase game for DeJounte Murray? He's allegedly like one of the top guys that are going to be on the market. This feels like a good game for him to, put on the old resume. If GMs don't know who DeJounte Murray, who's this guy? This guy, I was never heard of him out of nowhere. Just kind of destroying the Pacers here. I think it's
what about Obi Toppin? Any Obi Toppin and getting any of that squirrel? I mean, like he's going to be absolutely unowned. 4,700 in a high-paced game.
He's the guy I think that went nuts in that like November game where they did.
For him, went nuts for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Obi Toppin. And like the Jalen Smith news. Actually, Jalen Smith and Aaron Nesmith news is going to be a little bit big. And as is the starting lineup. Because like this is a good game. It's a good game to get to, and especially if you get somebody like Obi Toppin potentially playing a little bit more because like Jalen Smith is out or something like that. Or then I think. Yeah, you definitely got to take a look at Obi Toppin there.
I think we had an if-then set up, but I would just say don't hold your breath on it because it seems pretty likely they're going to play. We had an if-then set up for Naismith. Go ahead.
They had starter jerseys on today in practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot around.
Yeah. I would obviously stay tuned with the news.
It's still NBA's though, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Jalen Smith was supposed to play last game. It was just sort of like his back, something happened with his back during warmups, and that was that. So, as always, stay tuned to the news flow. Last of the 7:30 games, the Rockets. The Rockets take on the Pistons. The Pistons, they are still bad. They're 9-point dogs here at home to the Rockets. Let's see who's in and who's out here. We are getting beef stew. Isaiah Stewart is back for Detroit. Cunningham, of course, is going to be out for a bit. No Bogdanovich for Detroit. Nothing new with Houston. It's Tari Eason. He's still out with that leg. No, not playing tonight. Dylan Brooks still unavailable. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Squirrel. Did you mention Şengün? This feels like a good Şengün spot. Şengün is awesome. Center is pretty loaded. I want to play like 8 centers today. Unfortunately, the sites will not allow me to do such a thing. FEV, Freddie VanVleet looks pretty good here too. I saw somebody in chat mention Cam Whitmore. He seems like an interesting cheapie and there's also a path of, if this game blows out, Whitmore is a guy that can do some things in the fourth quarter against the likes of like Marcus Sasser and James Wiseman. And even as is, I think we're giving like 20 minutes or so. And I don't know, I might feel better about Cam Whitmore than I do about like Nicholas Batum. Projection is not too far off, I don't think. But yeah, what do you got here, Squirrel, as far as Houston? And feel free to touch on the Pistons.
Yeah, it's almost all Houston guys, and they're much better priced on DraftKings and on FanDuel. But Şengün is definitely in play on both sides. Like you said, like center is pretty loaded tonight, but I think Şengün is the best out of all of them. I think he's the guy that I tagged in the lineup HQ there. He's 8th in the league in points in the paint, and I think Detroit is 5th in terms of allowing points in the paint. So it's a good combination for Şengün. I really like the Cam Whitmore call. Again, he's a little bit better priced on DraftKings than FanDuel. DraftKings has been a little bit like slow on pricing guys up, but like Whitmore could be getting more playing time. He's like their first round pick. So sometimes, the guy's going to get more playing time as the season goes on. And I like what you said there, that like he could be getting the blowout run. So he's got like some safety there that we might not think of in terms of Cam Whitmore. But yeah, I like the idea of getting to these guys as their playing time increases. Jabari Smith, really good on DraftKings. He's a little bit more of a tournament play on FanDuel. FanDuel 6,600, DraftKings 6,200. And same thing with Jalen Green. Tournament play on FanDuel at 6,400, whereas on DraftKings 6,000. So like it could be a little bit more of a core piece for you on DraftKings.
It's a small sample, but Whitmore in 164 minutes is 1.17 DK points per minute, which is the second highest on the Rockets. I say second because I'm not counting Boban's 29 minutes, who's got 1.18. They dust him off on occasion. The usage is pretty strong as well, 25.62%. I just think this is a good spot here. And he's another guy that feels like he's ascending a little bit with the Rockets, giving him a little bit more, and also like Tate. Did he need to push Tate? Did he need to push Holiday? Even in just like general rotations, throwing aside, a potential blowout. I'm very likely to have Whitmore in my lineup if as my salary saver. If you guys can't tell, that's probably where I'm going to land. Your thoughts here, Kirkwood, as far as the Rockets against the Pistons?
I love the Rockets side tonight. So they're my favorite side bet tonight, minus the 8. I love the spot for all these guys in DFS. So think about it, right? Look, I look at this game. So you get a pace-up spot with Detroit, who plays much faster. How is Detroit going to score? I don't really know, because the Rockets play good D. But what comes with good D? Like you get opponent blocks, you get opponent steals. So Detroit's 27th in opponent blocks, 29th in opponent steals. So, like, if you can give an extra little boost to these guys with defensive stats, like, they could just go off. And there's some guys here that play really, really big minutes. So I love Şengün. Detroit's the 3rd best matchup for centers. I think he's probably going to get Durant into foul trouble because he's so good at drawing fouls. I love Jabari Smith because of a minute standpoint. And, I just hope this game stays close enough, long enough for these guys to eat. Really get into it. So, and I think it probably will. So, I like a lot of these guys.
I don't know. Did you guys mention Green? Either one of you guys mentioned Green? He's popping a lot. And
Scroll just mentioned him. And
okay, yeah.
So then you get the narrative that you can't play Jalen Green on the road. People say.
Yeah, I've heard that before. But he's like coming in really, really hot as far as ownership stuff. 36%. On DK, that's a big number. 34% on FanDuel. Şengün 28% for what it's worth there on FanDuel. Şengün 30% on DK. And he's kind of a scorer. Like, he can do other stuff, but like mostly he needs to score, and he should score against this Detroit team. But I just, as a general rule, I don't like scorers that have to score that are going to be super, super popular. But Whitmore is at 20% as far as ownership. I didn't know he was going to be that high, but I will take that. Hopefully it doesn't get much higher than that. Where are you going to be at the field there, Squirrel? What do you think? Are you going to be at the field for Green at 36%? You taking a stand on it? Over, under?
I will. I'll probably be right around there. I think probably over, if anything, with Jalen Green. It was Cam Whitmore at 21%. I'll probably be over on Whitmore as well.
Question in chats. I'll give it to Kirkwood because Kirkwood, you generally run like one lineup. I know Squirrel plays single entry stuff, but Dex wants to know 3 guys we've talked about already. Different positions, a little bit different salaries, but Şengün, Sabonis versus Maxey, DK single entry. If you're starting your lineup, who's the first one you plug in there? All good.
Probably Sabonis, and then second would be Şengün. But it's like splitting hairs. Those would be, and then Maxey would be third for me, just because I think we can get upside of some guys that aren't quite priced as high. And I think Jalen Green, I agree with Squirrel. I mean, this could be a ceiling game for Jalen Green. This is the Pistons. He's a chucker, right? He's only $6K, so like he could certainly outperform that price tag, and that would be really beneficial tonight on this slate where we're kind of trying to save money wherever we can.
The first optimal I'm looking at has 3 Rockets. The second one has 3 Rockets. Do we have any sort of caps here as far as Rockets? Are we willing to play 3 Rockets, Squirrel? Especially, it doesn't sound like we're very interested in Detroit. 3-0, is that something we're willing to do?
I'd do 3-0 or 4-1. When it gets to 4, I'd put in a Detroit player. Like, I think you could play some like Killian Hayes. I think maybe even some Jalen Duren. I don't love it, but like if I'm going to play 4 Rockets, I'm going to probably play one of those guys or somebody from Detroit.
Oscar Thompson's going to be chalk now, right?
Because of the narrative of the Twins, is that or did something new happen?
Well, just with Bogdanovich being out.
We're only giving him 18 minutes, which I don't know why they wouldn't give him more. I know he's been disappointing sometimes, or more so, I guess. His defense is pretty good. The offense is pretty rough, but like the Blazers, like they're not playing their guys in blowouts. Like just play your rookies and see if you have anything. Like what's the point? You're not going anywhere anyway. We did have this like 10 days ago or so, whatever it was, with the Thompson twins. It did turn out to be a blowout. Osar wasn't very good. Amen was pretty good for Houston. He's kind of fallen out of favor as well a little bit. That seems a little bit ambitious to run him back. That was, I think, a smaller slate, if I remember correctly. I don't think I'm doing that, but yeah, maybe the minutes are fickle there. Maybe Osar gets more than 18, Kirkwood. So it's tough to figure out the Detroit rotations, and it wouldn't surprise me. And he probably plays in a blowout. So I don't hate it as like if you're looking for a salary saver, you probably can do worse. 3-6, 16-point projection.
And our buddy Yappy Cappy, yeah, that's the thing. Beef Stew's back, but he was saying that Thompson needs to start, and he very well could get the start. So we'll see how they go.
Let's see I think we're projecting Beef Stew to jump in there. Yeah, we got Hayes, Ivy, Livers, Stewart, and Jalen Duren. I mean, like at some point, Detroit has to stop playing Alec Burks, right? Or just trade him somewhere. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Like theoretically, when the Pistons are good, whenever that is, I promise you, Alec Burks is not going to be on that team. He's not going to. There's no reason to develop him. Okay. Scroll. Any thoughts on that? Anything else we should say going forward, or shall we just move on?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Do you want to mention SimLabs? SimLabs. What is SimLabs? To generate DFS lineups through the power of simulation. That is what SimLabs is. That's what it does. It combines data from every aspect of the slate to churn out lineups to match your preferences. Just a few clicks. You can get yourself hundreds of well-built, correlated lineups ready to go for whatever contest type you're playing. A lot of y'all have been doing it with the NFL. Now it's NBA. NBA is a thing too. Try out NBA SimLabs for free while it's currently in beta. Doesn't give a cutoff date. I know last time it gave a cutoff date. It said basically till Sunday, but we'll see. We'll see how long it's going to be. But as of right now, it is free. And if you guys are premium members, if you're NFL premium members, if you're combo premium members, subscribers, you have access, of course, to the NFL SimLabs tool as well.
That's also 3 days. 3 days of beta, Dean. So, yep, Sunday's the last day.
Okay.
Coming in hot, Devin. Coming in real hot.
Oh man, little too energized. Little too energized.
What's coming in hotter, Devin's voice or whatever is going on my face right now? This redness.
You're at like a. You need to get some SPF 50 or whatever.
Oh man, I once fell asleep.
The people, you know what the people want instead of SimLabs? People want Squirrel Labs. We want Squirrel Labs. His exposures, What
would that consist of?
I don't know. His exposures fed right into our own optimizers.
I'm already on the show, giving everything away.
I'm just saying what the people want. That's what I'm just saying.
They want Squirrel to like make their lineups for him too. Like personally, you get like a 5-minute window for everybody. I don't, he's only one person, and we don't have time for such things. But it feels like Squirrel. Am I right to say it feels like you're writing more these days? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that might actually like come to a little bit of a wrap up as like football season ends. Like I'll probably lose a couple football articles, and then probably gain back my MMA one, my UFC article, which actually really enjoy. So UFC is coming back this weekend.
UFC is the best DFS sport. It is. It's like it's the only sport where these guys literally you back people who put their lives on the line, right? Like so. I remember like. Yeah, but it's a little dumb. This guy, like you can feel
golf. Those balls hurt.
I don't know. I just remember like one sweat. Like there was this fight with Benavidez against Figueiredo, and he like had him right off. I needed just 10 DraftKings points, and I shipped like the 555. Like I get like 30 grand or whatever, something, right? And I was like, just hold. Like immediately, he's in a rear naked choke, about to die. His like face was like. Eyes were popping out. He got out of it, and then he got right back into it again. And then they put up and I got like 6 points, and I lost. But I couldn't be mad. I couldn't be mad at him because he like put his life on the line. The guy almost died in there.
Yeah, I've got a Davison Figueiredo card like in the Scroll Control Hall of Fame on my wall here because he's like one of my big GPP wins in UFC. I'll say like winning winning a tournament. Somebody hits a 3-pointer is fantastic, or hits a home run or whatever, scores a touchdown. When your like fighter like knocks another guy flat out and you win money, like that is a thrill. It's like one of the best DFS sports out there.
Or if he just keeps taking him down and taking him down and taking him down,
like punching him in the face,
you get ground and pound. Yeah.
Or if your guy's lost, like my guy lost, well, at least he got punched in the face. Now he feels how I feel.
But honestly, it's the most tilting feeling ever too when your guy's like controlling a fight about to win and like he gets like knocked out. And actually the worst thing is when like a fight gets canceled after lock.
That is
it's a great sweat though. It is the best sweat.
I gotta say, if I remember correctly, coming back from an RG party at like maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't recall what it was, but. In the hotel lobby, it was Squirrel and Blender. I think it was watching on like Blender's phone. It wasn't even like an iPad. I think it was on his phone. You guys are watching fights in like, I don't know, Brazil or somewhere. Does this sound about right?
Yeah, it was Volkanovski and Makachev. It's February. It was like last Super Bowl, so it was about a year ago. And there were a bunch of guys in the bar that wanted to watch the UFC event, and they didn't it was like a small like hotel bar. It didn't have the pay-per-view. So yes, like Blender like just ordered it up on his phone. He's like, he's like, I didn't play any lineups, so we can all just watch on my phone. I'm like sweating my lineups on my phone. Yeah, it was fantastic.
By the way, Devin, if you don't mind, drop in chat. I think it's in the it's got to be posted somewhere on the YouTube. But if you don't mind dropping the SimLabs for the people. Oh, there you go. Just change the just change the NBA NFL to NBA. You can do it that way as well. But Devin's dropping the link. Again, it's hard to find officially on the site. I guess it's buried a little bit. But all right, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I couldn't find SimLabs NBA. I work here, and I was like, I can't.
Just change the URL. Yeah, from NFL to NBA, and I couldn't figure that out either. But thank you, Devin.
This is just a little Easter egg for all of us viewers. Whenever Roth gets on and he does this plug, $5 says he calls it Sims Labs.
Okay. That's the sharp money.
That's sharp money's money. And I'm only making fun of him because I've told him explicitly, hey, man, I think you might have gotten it wrong. And he's still calling it Sims Labs. So,
hey, just as long as Roth still can do the read the way he does the read as far as the FanDuel, it's incredible. I don't know how he does that so fast and so accurately. Just truly spectacular. Orlando's taking on my Miami Heat. 219.5 is a total, not a very particular appealing total. Wendell Carter Jr. is officially questionable with his knee. Franz Wagner, the brothers Wagner, he is out. No Gary Harris. Miami, they are wounded for sure. No Kyle Lowry. He's got a hand. Hero's got a shoulder. Butler's got that toe. Caleb Martin expected to be back and available. Somebody in chat was asking about, we had Sabonis as like one of our top setters in the slate. But what about Bam, Squirrel? Adebayo, this is his world. Of course, the matchup here versus Orlando is not prime, but, he's going to be asked to do everything here with Miami. We are projecting Richardson, Highsmith, Jaquez, Jovic, and Bam start. Wouldn't be shocked if RJ Hampton starts. I wouldn't play RJ Hampton, just sort of throwing that out there. What do you got as far as my Heat here, Squirrel?
So you can definitely play some Bam. I came close to tagging him and I didn't. It's weird because like I think I had him tagged and I think I wrote him up in the expert survey and I was going to like rate the blurb and I was going to like doing the court IQ thing where you like take Jimmy Butler off the court, take Tyler Hero off the court, and Bam's like DK points per minute actually go down. So I had to like scrap the blurb. I ended up not tagging him. So like I can't imagine why Bam's like DK points per minute would go down with those guys off the court. But it's maybe a little like thing to keep in the back of your head. Because like, you'll start running some optimal lineups. It's like where I'm kind of landing on Bam is that like if I have just that amount of money, like he's probably the best guy at his price at the position. So like if I land on him, I'll play him. But I'm not like going out of my way to play him. And I'm like, this game isn't that appealing to stack either. Like there's everybody on Orlando is like just kind of the right price. So not like a ton of interest in the game, like some interest in the Miami guys, especially on DraftKings, just because of like all the injuries. I was surprised to see that thing on Bam Adebayo.
Are you eating the Josh Richardson chalk? He looks like one of the most popular players in the slate currently, 35% on DK. Not the most comfortable chalk play, I would say, but he's going to have to play, right? 30, 31 minutes or so. Yeah,
he just never seems to get there. He's like a little bit of a better form of Nick Batum, maybe. Like he's just like whatever is like he's maybe had I don't know like one really good game in the past month or so. I mean it helps with all these guys out. I just get a little bit worried like he would be the guy that if things start to go awry that he's not going to see the minutes as a veteran. You like Jovic more? Yeah, I think he's a little bit more of a sneaky tournament play. I probably like Jaquez is the guy that I would want to get to, but he's expensive. He's got to play like 35 minutes or so. What are we projecting for Jaquez? It's got to be a big number, just because of how thin Miami is. Let's see, 37 for Banchero, 36 for Jaime Jaquez. Banchero looks he's been awesome, spectacular in the absence of Wagner. Just the matchup's not spectacular. And the price, it's kind of caught up. I wouldn't discourage it, but he's more of a secondary play, 10% currently. What do you got here, Kirkwood, as far as the Heat and the Magic? And I just ran the court IQ. I want to see if anything sort of pops. Caleb Martin and Josh Richardson, the two biggest bumps as far as usage. And Jovic as the biggest bump as far as DK fantasy points per minute, for what it's worth. But go ahead here, Kirkwood, as far as this game. One thing, I think I got something crossed there. I think I got more of this game, more of the Miami guys on FanDuel than on DraftKings. I just wanted to point that out. I think I said okay.
Yeah, they took off Nikola Jokic and they gave us Nikola Jovic.
Yeah.
Thank you. What a gift. So I like Bam. I think you have to like Bam in this spot. And do we have news? Isn't Wendell Carter Jr. potentially out or
questionable? We don't know.
Yeah. I think
does that matter
a lot? I think it would give Bam a little bit of a boost because I don't think Mo Wagner isn't a great big man at all, and I don't think I think he should be able to abuse Goga too. So I think that could be a little bit helpful, especially with everybody out already and him looking like a good strong play. And his salary is totally reasonable on DK, $8,800. I like Banchero. He's probably my second favorite. I agree. I think Jaquez, he'll do a lot of facilitating in this game too, and they're going to need it. They don't really have any, so they have no real other guards. So it's going to have to be Richardson and then I think Jaquez will pick up some of the ball handling, because who else do they have? Like what's their starting lineup going to consist of?
Yeah, I mentioned Hampton might start. We're projecting Richardson, Highsmith, Jaquez, Jovic, and Bam Adebayo.
Hampton is so bad. I mean, the only thing that you could say is it's a revenge game.
It is a revenge game. Yeah.
But he is awful.
Yeah, I don't think he's very good either. Yeah, Jovic flashed some skills. He's still kind of raw, but I think he's kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Yeah, and Richardson's like Scroll says, he typically doesn't smash. How often is he going to smash? If he starts, I might be tempted. He also, again, he can come off the bench and he can spell Hampton pretty quickly if he's not drawing the start. And the other part of it is we're kind of sort of somewhat, I don't want to use desperate, but we're really in need of some value plays on this slate. We got anything else here, or shall we move on?
I've got a feeling Kevin Love has a good decent night here tonight. I know it's crazy because I in my my build, the way I do my projections, it's been telling me to play Kevin Love on Yahoo every time, and I just exit out, and he ends up doing just fine. Where I ended up would have wanted him, but Miami doesn't defend the three. Orlando, they kind of defend the three, but I think Love should be able to get off a lot of shots in this game, and kind of with such a weak lineup, they just don't have much. Everyone they're going to need his veteran leadership in this one. So I don't know, maybe that's stupid, but I feel like Kevin Love's going to be decent for 5,200.
I would just drop on, you said Bataza. He's not horrific defensively. He's kind of slow, but he's a big dude. He's got girth. I think he checks out pretty good defensively as far as the metrics. I'm not saying he can't play Bam, but
from an athleticism standpoint,
oh yeah, it's not close. Yeah. It's not close.
Yeah.
It's not close. Yeah, I agree with that aspect. But just as far as numbers wise, Gogo's been all right defensively. The Magic have been really good defensively, and he's not been a major like a black hole, like a hindrance for them. 7-8 minutes away or so, producer Devin's going to be giving away RotoGrinders Premium 1 or 2, I guess 2, depending on how many likes we have. That's what we're going to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, notifications, hit everything, tap everything. We do appreciate that. Let us keep the lights on. How do you get the week free of RG Premium? Go to the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Devin has a post. Just thumb that post up, and he will put your name on the wheel. We're going to spin that wheel in about 7 minutes or so. The Clippers take on the Grizz. 224.5 is the total of Clippers. They are on all cylinders. They are spectacular right now. Memphis going in the other direction, just a complete throwaway season for them. Getting even worse. Marcus Smart is now out for several weeks or so with his finger. We know that Ja is out. Memphis just a disaster. Man, I want to get a take as far as Xavier Tillman. I'm really curious what you guys think of Tillman, because then I was watching him play the other night, and that might influence me. But he also had that game where he played 3 minutes and got the hook and basically never came back. Memphis then kicked Bismack Biyombo off the team. Xavier Tillman played so well, but maybe Triple J plays the 5 here, and maybe Tillman doesn't even start. But I just think there's a high variance of outcomes for him. He can have a really interesting good game, and the floor feels rough too. And maybe they start Zaire Williams, and they just move everybody up one spot. What is your take here, Scroll? Have we thought about that? Am I thinking too much as far as that? Because center, there is an opportunity cost, but I think there's a chance we get a big Xavier Tillman game if they give him the run. I just don't know if they're going to give him the run.
So, yeah, I agree. The starting lineup's a little bit of a question, but it's nice, right? So we only basically have to make one adjustment right before the 8 o'clock games. Things start at 7:30. The last game tips off at 8 o'clock. So I think that starting lineup will be worth paying attention to. The only thing that's getting me a little bit away from it is Xavier Tillman was actually kind of priced up, 5,200 there on DraftKings. He did have a big game, but I think he was at 3,700 when he had the big game. And they priced him up accordingly. So I'm not getting a ton of Xavier Tillman, but I think the projections are kind of middling it. Saying he's probably not going to start. I don't know. I think if he's in the starting lineup, it'd be worth a little bit of a risk. But he's expensive now. And do I want to do I want to like take Sengun out of my lineup to put Xavier Tillman in when he got like 3 minutes in his last start? Probably not. But getting some Luke Kennard on FanDuel as a value play is 4,500 on FanDuel, or he's like 4,800 on DraftKings. Again, like don't love it. He's kind of in the Josh Richardson, Nick Batum category, where he's not playing like big minutes, even though he was getting the start. But he did something with it as a 27 FanDuel points last game. And then Zaire Williams, I've got some interest on both sites as a value piece.
What about Vince? What about all the Williamses?
I feel like Vince is probably like too expensive. 5,700. I don't know, he's been having some good games. Like I feel like these guys are okay. They're okay for the price. 5,700 on FanDuel, 5,300 on DraftKings. Maybe got a little bit more interest on DraftKings there. I don't know. Like he had a slow start to the last game, but I don't know, he looks good. So I wouldn't argue against him if you wanted to play.
You mentioned Kennard. Speaking of revenge, it's a revenge game for Luke Kennard here. I think I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but I think he's fine. And Bane really could put up a monster score, and he kind of sort of has to if this game is close or the Clippers just missing a bunch of shots and it's a low-scoring game. But it's tough as far as a big spend, but the absence of Ja, everything's going to be on him. He'll be chucking for sure. Jump in here, Kirk. What are your thoughts as far as Clippers Memphis?
Yeah, I like the idea of Bane, and they also said that Jenkins said that he can play 40 minutes, and so I like that a lot. Certainly with him, a guy who's going to absolutely be chucking. I mean, he's going to be a usage monster. I mean, he had 35% usage in the game against Dallas. So I'm on board, but the problem is like if you think about, you would think that they would be able to stop him, right? Like that should be like their whole game plan is like, let's stop Desmond Bane, let's stop Jaren Jackson Jr., and let's grab the win, because of these other guys, they're all a little rough around the edge. I think Vince is like, sometimes he looks good, sometimes he looks horrendous. They just signed him. That showed a lot of belief in him and their need with him. So he makes the most sense. Kennard is going to be chucking. I'm on board. I don't know. I feel like they get absolutely blown out here, but I know we shouldn't play for that.
3 years, $7.9 million for Williams, so not a big deal, but I'm sure he's happy and kind of sort of came.
A big deal to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. The Bane thing is interesting. And as far as the Clippers, like, is there one clear big spend in the Clippers you like? They're all healthy. They're all sort of fine, different degrees of fine. They're not going to get played. Kawhi, George, Harden. We've seen some big games out of Zubac. Grizz have actually been pretty good on the inside this year. They've been really vulnerable to the outside shot. Everybody's just sort of like priced where they should be, and I don't love anybody in LA. I'm not running a bunch of lineups. I'm probably getting 0 Clippers. Kirkwood, is that where you're at as well? I know you have like one main lineup, and this is more of a squirrel question.
Yeah, I don't have any Clippers.
Squirrel?
Yeah, I have to run hundreds of lineups before I start getting Clippers. They're probably the team I have the least of. This might be a game to like game stack if you're multi-entering. Like I might do like a game stack or two of this in 150 lineups. But like the Clippers side in particular is hard to get to.
We had Bobby Gomes, friend of the show, asking about Roddy, David Roddy. Is that something we've considered? I don't think so.
Depends on the starting lineup. Yeah.
I wrote to Bobby, he stinks, and so now he's saying Roddy's a definite 6x tonight.
Well, is that good enough? Like if Roddy puts up like 19 points or whatever, is that fine? Probably want more than that. Maybe 20.
Like 21 DraftKings points last game.
Yeah. Their bench is really, really bad. They're talking about maybe Vince playing blow-up minutes. Herbert was saying, I don't know if that's the case. They don't have a lot of guys, but I don't think Vince is going to be mopping up. Conchar, Roddy, Gilliard, LaRavia, and whatever Gregory Jackson is. Do you guys know who Gregory Jackson is? I don't think I know who that is. But I'm guessing he would play basketball if necessary. Anyways, we shall move on. We got 3 more games to knock out. Crunch time knocking on the door. I think it's Will and TJ as well as Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. But I believe it's time. 6:30. We're going to give away some RG Premium Producer Devin's going to jump on here. Did we get enough likes to give away 2 individual weeks, Devin? Are we happy with the like count?
You know what? I think if people could hit the like button while I'm finishing this sentence and collecting the last few people on the wheel, we can give away some 2 winners here this week.
I threw it to you too earlier. I apologize.
By the way, we had a lot of people sign up late.
Yeah, the closing line value. The closing line value is important for sure. We learned nothing, by the way, from the poll. You asked cutting off the slate late. Do we like that? You said it's very logical. 55% agree, and you were kind of like trying to sway people. And 45% said no, I like pain. So what have we learned? Nothing. We're divided essentially.
People like pain.
Yeah, sure. It's underrated. Did we give you enough time, Devin, to throw the remaining names on the wheel?
We are all set. Oh, hang on. It's spinning on me. Hang on.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, hang on. We gotta get the music rolling here in a second.
Does Squirrel know what we're doing here? Squirrel, I don't know if you ever watched the wheel live and in person, but it's much different than watching it on the interwebs. But if you're actually on the show,
now I see a web. Now I see a wheel. I didn't see a wheel before. It's like spinning right down there. All right,
there it is. Yep.
There, and we wager on this. So I got the green, yellow Quinella box.
Let's get a little ambiance
so get your
here.
bets in.
Wendell Carter Jr. out.
Okay. Does that matter?
It does to me a little.
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Did you guys bring your glow sticks? Is this copywritten, Devin, or is this like generic, like used for anybody?
Here, I'm gonna add it.
All right, first winner, Lee Holio. Congratulations. We'll remove you from the list, and we'll get going.
Kirkwood's getting flashbacks to the clubs like 20 years ago.
And Clue 1776. Hell of a year.
Devin, you're going to be sliding into the DMs. You'll let them know you're going to hit them up on Discord, right? You'll hook them up. You'll juice them up the premium.
I will jump in Discord. I will reach out to you, all the winners, both of you.
Congratulations. We do this every Friday. Just a heads up, you're not aware, we do this every single Friday. Typically 6:00, but because the time was moved, we moved up to 6:30. There are 3 remaining games that start 8:00. We're going to talk about. Let's see who is up next. I want to talk about the Hornets and the Spurs. 236.5 is the total of Spurs are 2-point favorites here versus the Hornets. We're expecting LaMelo to come back tonight. That, of course, should hit into some usage on the other players. Rozier should take a hit. He's still pretty priced up, so I think it's hard to kind of roster him. Cody Martin officially questionable with his groin. PJ Washington officially doubtful with his foot. Are they going to start doing this with PJ Washington? Okay, he's doubtful. We know Mark Williams obviously is out. San Antonio, but as fully healthy as you've seen him for a while. Wembanyama should be good to go. I believe they play tomorrow, but he's going to rest tomorrow. Yeah. So I didn't say this at the top, but Blazers are on the back end of a back-to-back. Teams on the front end: Atlanta, Houston, Orlando. The Warriors we'll talk about in a second. Chicago we'll talk about in a second. Memphis on the front end. So if that game gets ugly, these guys tend to get pulled a little bit earlier than normal. And then the Spurs are on the front end also. But Squirrel, it seemed like you were excited about this game. Wembanyama is just insane what he is doing, and he's still just a rookie, and he's still just playing 24, maybe 26 minutes. His passing, I don't know if you watched some of the passing videos from his last game, he megged the dude. So fun. He's just going to be – this is just the old tip of the iceberg, as they say. And the matchup for Charlotte, obviously, is spectacular too. He's not cheap. But, there's Wemby there. The pace for Charlotte should be enhanced with LaMelo back as well. Talk to me about Spurs Hornets, Squirrel.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great poll that you had earlier with the on-off pace with LaMelo Ball. So Charlotte being 29th in pace once he went out compared to third or fourth in the games that he was playing. I'd love to get to more Victor Wembanyama. He's just a little bit pricey on FanDuel in particular. 10,000, that's a lot because there's so many good centers we could get to. I wouldn't really argue against it. It's just that even in the big games that he's had, he had a triple double last game, but it was he had no steals and blocks, so he would not have paid off the price on FanDuel. But he's like generally, I think, going to be more of a like FanDuel player going forward. Like I don't think he's going to have like no steals and blocks games very often. But he did, last time. But yeah, as the price is going up, it's easier to get to him. I think on DraftKings we get like 2 center spots, and he's only 9,100. But there's a bunch of Spurs I like. I like Devin Vassell. Trey Jones is again pretty well priced on FanDuel. You can get to Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson. I guess getting to a lot more of the Spurs on FanDuel, but I like Devin Vassell on both sites. Like even though it's more of a tournament play on DraftKings.
I do want to give credit where it's due. By the way, I would never plagiarize, and I don't want anybody to even think about it. Kirkwood may have accused me of that once or twice, but that was a key stat. Shout out to Keith Eister. That was his stat from the expert survey today. If you guys have premium, you would have read that. Wembanyama in the season, 1.57 DK fantasy points per minute. Just outrageous. It's probably higher, like Squirrel said, probably higher on FanDuel when you figure the stocks.
I want the music back. Can we play a little music again?
just have it underneath us until we finish. See if Roth notices, like when they come on, just rocking out for no particular reason. He'll be like closing windows. He's like, where is that noise coming from? The weird thing, by the way, ownership-wise in this game, Charlotte and San Antonio, it kind of makes sense. Jetty Osman is currently the highest owned player in Charlotte, San Antonio at 15%. He's sort of in that Batum nonsense area, 3.8K, 17-ish fantasy points per minute, 17 fantasy points is the projection. We all love Wembanyama, but we're projecting him for 26 minutes, and he's basically fully priced up, especially on FanDuel, where he's in 10K area, 9-1 on DK, a little bit more palatable. But even still, he's not going to be owned. And then LaMelo coming back on the other side, everybody else is going to be overpriced by a tick. We got to wait a little bit. And I don't think we're running with LaMelo because he's fully priced and he probably is not going to play max minutes. What are we giving him? Like 30, I'm going to guess. How many minutes we give him LaMelo? 28. Like even if he plays like 30, 31, like it's happened before where he's come back and played close to that. But it's just I can't really get anybody on Charlotte, Kirkwood. Can you? I can't.
I don't know. So I'm okay. So you look at this game and it should play extremely fast. Spurs definitely, like you said, your stat, the Hornets are going to be playing much faster. The Spurs play fast. And there's two horrible defensive teams. Charlotte 29th in defensive rating, Spurs 25th. I think there's a lot of potential here. Like I know LaMelo's back and I know Rozier's price is way too high for that instance, but like something tells me like Rozier could absolutely go off in this spot. And he's going to be like 1% owned. So
he better though. He's got to beat a bunch of dudes in this slate at a similar price point. You think he can?
I think he can in this game environment.
Okay.
But who I should like better is Miles Bridges. LaMelo should be a boost for Bridges, get him more dishes by the rim and whatnot. So, and his minutes, he'll play a ton of minutes. So I don't know. And then Trey Jones, depending on site, he's going to be a thing, right?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, it's like a mid-tier play. He's perfectly fine. Was he more popular on Fan? I think he's a FanDuel play, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
He's a Yahoo too.
Yeah. I was running. Have they played together this year, LaMelo and Bridges, or no? I was trying to think if they played together all season. I'm just curious if they played together and see if anything. They might have not played together at all this season, but they played 4 games. Okay, they played 4 games together. See if there's anything interesting. LaMelo 1.41 fantasy points per minute. Bridges 1.02, which I think is less than he has on the season. We got a couple more games before crunch time comes in. Anything else we just stress here, Squirrel, as far as Charlotte and San Antonio?
I think it's a good game to get to. I don't know why the total's not a little bit higher, like given the pace increase. We'll see how much, like if LaMelo's like full steam. It's a little bit hard to get to the Charlotte side just because of the LaMelo factor. But overall, I mean, I like getting to the Spurs.
You said Carter being out matters to you, Kirkwood. What's really changing you for Orlando? It matters somewhat, but it's a significant thing.
I think it's more minutes for Uncle Mo Wagner, and then Also, I think it's just like I said, I think it's a little bit better of a matchup for Bam to do well when he's already in such a great situation with all of the, everybody out.
All right. Ayton officially ruled out. I think he was doubtful, so I would imagine he was already out of our stuff anyway. 2 more games. Speaking of DeAndre Ayton, feels like a scheduled blowout here. The Blazers back half of a back-to-back and travel going to Minnesota. 220 is the total. They're 18, 16-point underdogs. It's a huge number. They almost got doubled up last night. Pretty embarrassing stuff there. No Ayton, no Sharp. Walker is expected back, so Jabari Walker expected to play. As far as Minnesota, Gobert is officially questionable with his hip. This also could be a spot where maybe they say, hey, we don't really need him because it's the Blazers. I'm curious if that factors in. Do they play tomorrow? I don't think so, right? Just kind of ran those down. No, they do not play tomorrow, but the Blazers, again, back half of back-to-back. Kirkwood, how do we feel about this game? Maybe Nas can get loose if Gobert doesn't play. Is that one of the thoughts? Cat looks pretty good, but how long could he smash for?
If Gobert's out, Nas is going to go nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Smith and Naismith for Indiana both in, as we talked about earlier. And I think we have an if-then for this. Let me see if we do. I thought we had an if-then set up for the situation. I could be wrong. We do. Nas will be projected for about 32-ish DK, 32-ish FanDuel, and he would look like a strong DK value. FanDuel, I guess he's more priced up over there. What is he? 6'6". FanDuel was proactive. 6'6" on FanDuel. So even then, he's not great, certainly in the pool. But DK 5'7" would look pretty strong. 5'7", like a 33 projection if we lose Gobert. What else you got here, Kirkwood, as far as Blazers, T-Wolves? Simon's, if he could play 30, 35 minutes or whatever. No, not 30, 35. He could be interesting, but they just keep getting shellacked. So
here's the thing about Simons is he stinks when he goes up against really strong defensive teams who will throw 2 guys at him and trap him and stuff. He'll get completely taken out of the game. So he's their whole team to keep them in this game. Maybe Jeremy Grant. I don't. Maybe I have the bias from the last couple of nights watching them play and stuff, but I just don't see how the Portland hangs with a good defensive team, especially if Rudy plays.
Same.
And the Timberwolves are going to they should blow them out. Absolutely blow them out.
I was going to bet Minnesota, but I don't like laying 16 points, but I'm still I don't know how Portland hangs here. I just don't know how it happens. I laid off.
Because it has to be Simons, and I just I have no confidence in him to do that against a good defensive team. They can easily shut him down, I think. So
the other thought, by the way, if Gobert plays, Nas can still be really good, right? He could be it's always sort of tricky, because if the game fully blows out and he comes in at the 5-minute mark or so of the third quarter, how long is he? Because he's not a mopper, right? So he might actually lose minutes if it's ugly enough. You never really know how it's going to go, but yeah, that's an interesting route to go. Also, Squirrel, what do you got? Portland, Minnesota. What's your read?
I like Jaden McDaniels on FanDuel. I think he's 4,500 on FanDuel versus 4,800 on DraftKings. So I can get to some Jaden McDaniels. That's just about it. It's a big spread. The Portland guys are the ones that are appropriately priced, kind of priced up. The Minnesota guys make me nervous because of the spread. I don't know. I'll have to take another look if Rudy Gobert is declared out and see. I'd probably see what late swap possibilities are out there. It's not a game I want to get to. I think you could get 3 quarters out of guys and then 1 quarter out of guys you're not considering for your DFS lineups anyway. So we don't have to play something from every single game, and maybe this is one of the games we don't want to play that much from.
I took a stand and didn't play slow-mo last game, and he was awesome. I'm not playing Kyle Anderson, and he was great. At least he was great the first half. I don't really know where he finished, but I remember being man, I can't believe I didn't play. I don't know if the field ended up getting on him, but I remember Kyle Anderson was popping, and I'm there's no way I'm playing Kyle Anderson when he's popular. By the way, just to kind of complete that thought, as far as the if-then stuff, if Gobert is out, Edwards and Cat look like really, really strong plays on DK. Edwards would be a 48-point projection, Cat 46. Of course, again, reminder, the blowout risk is there. We're giving Edwards 37 minutes, 35 to Cat as a median projection. Conley's another guy, like he just feels like one of the first ones off the court. Somebody in chat's asking about Alexander Walker. Like him and Brown, just I don't. If one of those guys beats me, so be it. Squirrel, are they in our pool right now? I don't think so. Right? If you want to tell a story about blowout, even still, I don't think I'm playing or Brown or McLaughlin, those kind of guys.
Yeah, like Nas the guy or one of the guys I'd maybe take a look at if Gobert's out. He's like 4,100 on DraftKings. See what his FanDuel price is. See if that's like would be something I want to get to. 4,600. Like that's still a little bit too expensive. Yeah, I don't really like Nas. I guess like the fact that the projections go up so much with Gobert off the court is interesting. Like that's more than I would have thought. But I'm still probably not going to leave like a ton of spaces in my rosters like for this game, thinking Gobert might be out. But if he's out, I'll take a look.
Brandon says thoughts on Brogdon with Sharp out. I think they're just done playing Brogdon a bunch of minutes, right? Isn't that just basically over? We're giving him 20 minutes for what it's worth.
My theory is they wanted to play him early in the season, like show teams that he's healthy, and now they're just like keeping the miles off the odometer.
Yeah, but why didn't they trade him? Yeah, I was losing my mind when he was playing like 37 minutes in the back half of a back-to-back. It's like you're the Blazers, you're the worst team in the league, and like these wins don't matter. What are you doing? And you're supposed to trade. You got two trade chips. One already is out for the season from Boston. You want to hurt this guy too? I just couldn't believe they were doing that. But yeah, like he's got to get traded at some point, right? Like I don't know what his contract situation is, but it's weird. It's just weird what's going on with him. Okay, let's talk about the last game. The last game is the Bulls and the Warriors. The Warriors going in the wrong direction. They look bad. We were talking about this the other day. It might be over. I don't want to say it's over, but it might be over for the Warriors run. Moses Moody is out with the calf. Draymond should be coming back soon. Chris Paul is out for like at least a month or so with his hand. No GP2. The Bulls are fully healthy, right? As healthy as we've seen them all season long, essentially. Chicago is a 2.5-point favorite here versus the Warriors. 228.5 is the total. Squirrel, what do we got here? Warriors, Bulls.
So on the Warriors side, like basically just getting to some Brandon Podziemski on FanDuel and some Kevon Looney on DraftKings. Like I think if that's like the price you have left, I think those are decent guys to get to. On DraftKings, getting a lot more Bulls. They're like priced down. Like so Caruso, Vucevic, priced down, DeMar DeRozan, like they're all a little bit too cheap. So like this is not a game I'll be completely staying away from. I think you can definitely play the Bulls guys. I think you can like mix and match some of those pieces for game stacks. But like not like my favorite game to get to. Just some of the guys are pretty well priced, particularly the Bulls on DraftKings.
Kirkwood, I want your thoughts. I also want to know the Warriors. Are they done? Is it over?
I think Lizzo was singing recently, so I think yes. I think this is I think Steph is just outrageous, but he can't do it all himself. So
and he's not even as good as he once was, you know.
Yeah, but that's because I think he's still ridiculous. So I'm always high on Steph, but like I just don't. What do they have? You know, Draymond is going crazy. I mean,
Clay's kind of broken.
Clay, yeah, absolutely. Wiggins is like not mentally there this season. Like after like gaining our trust, being a good fit, he's now like he's just back to. I think he's got some mental issues. I think, but anyway, yeah, I don't think they have it anymore. I think the teams have passed them by. But Steph can always keep them in a game.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't done that as much as he has in previous. I said this before. Like he feels like he's always too overpriced. More so on DK, where he's 9K. He's 8-4 on FanDuel. So if you're playing on FanDuel, that's the place to play him. But and again, of course, there's always a chance he can drop 40 in the bucket. But you know, those things are not happening as much as they used to. And he's still basically the same price. When it comes to the big spends, he's like almost always one of my least favorites. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else when it comes to the Warriors. If you had to pick one Warrior, Kirkwood, who would you play?
I mean, it's Steph, but the Bulls have been playing a good D lately. I don't know. You could play Pod. B-Pod. Remember, you told me that's not his nickname. B-Pod. It's kind of like B-Rad. Remember B-Rad?
Who is B-Rad?
Oh, this is a movie you're gonna have to watch then. Someone in chat should know.
It sounds vaguely. Oh, from Malibu's Most Wanted. Oh
yes,
no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yesterday we were talking about God, what movie we were talking about? It's a Chris Tucker vehicle that I don't recall the name of already. And I see Bobby was talking about it. And he was so excited about it. He actually fired up and watched it last night. And now people are going to start watching Malibu's Most Wanted, which I would not endorse necessarily, but you give it 2 thumbs up. Malibu's Most Wanted.
Oh yeah.
Squirrel, have you seen Malibu's Most Wanted starring Jamie Kennedy and Taye Diggs?
No, not yet.
You know, Taye Diggs followed me on Twitter, so I had to.
Really?
He followed everyone over like a period of time. Like somehow he was like launching something, and like it was like the easiest follow ever.
It's like a Jose Batista situation where Batista like followed like thousands and thousands of people. Okay.
Yeah.
Was not aware. I like how Squirrel says not yet. Like it's not. You're not getting. If you haven't watched it by now, you're not getting to it. I feel pretty confident it's not going to pop up in the queue one of these days. We should have a crunch time coming in here momentarily. We got Roth, we got Will, and we have TJ. Has anybody seen Malibu's Most Wanted? We're going to throw the curveball on. Does anybody want to vouch for Kirkwood's take that Malibu's Most Wanted should be given a rewatch?
I haven't, and I also laughed way too loud when Squirrel said, "Not yet." Like deadpan serious. Like,
Yeah.
It's 20 years old. Like,
What's in front of it?
Well, we got to do it. We got to have a showing then. This.
Yeah,
I vote we all watch Malibu's Most Wanted at the next RG party on the big screen.
I'm in.
That's an event. That's
Can we Rotten Tomatoes this? What are the ratings here?
I will take the under like critics about. I'm going to set the line at like 22% from the critics.
Critics don't count. But what matters are the people.
Okay. It's going to be a distinct difference. The people will like it distinctly more. People are going to be like 55, 60%, but the critics are really going to pan it. Maybe Devin could pull it up. And throw it in the screen.
No.
Okay. Oh. Oof. All right.
What happened?
The critics still coming in with 31%. The audience score, which we were hoping would be higher, just 54%. So this is downright. There it is. This is downright. I ain't watching it.
No, you are making a big mistake.
You want a good, funny comedy movie to rewatch? Check out Accepted. That's one of my favorite movies ever.
Accepted?
Yeah.
Is that the college one where they fake the thing and at one point he's in a hot dog suit and he goes, "Ask me about my wiener."
Yeah, early Jonah Hill, Justin Long, Blake Lively. It's a fantastic movie.
Wonderful line.
You also, Dean, you didn't mention Anthony Anderson.
Okay, my apologies to Anthony Anderson. Yeah. I didn't mean to slight him. He's perfectly fine. Like he moved on to some great movies. He ended up in The Departed, like which is distinctly better than Malibu's Most Wanted.
This movie is great. I will die on this hill.
I do a podcast, the Pick Six Show, Wednesday nights, and at the end of the show, we always talk about a movie. We kind of force everybody else to watch a movie, and we were on a run of doing like unintentionally funny movies, and we ended up watching a movie called Money Plane, starring Kelsey Grammer, Denise Richards, and Edge of wrestling fame, and I thought it would be unintentionally hilarious. It is terrible. The worst. And it's streaming nowhere, and it cost me $3, and I'm so angry about that losing that $3. It grossed in the box office. Made $680. That's what the box office was. $680. Yeah. Matthew Lawrence, Joey Lawrence, all the Lawrence brothers are involved too. If you're a big fan of the Lawrence brothers, big fan of Blossom, maybe you'll check it out. But do not recommend anything.
Listen, my boy King Dash just says Blank Man. Yes, Blank Man, a household classic. Have you guys seen Blank Man?
Many years ago. I haven't seen it recently.
Oh man, Blank Man was a good one.
Whoa. He was a superhero that had like no super talent, right? That was kind of his gimmick. I think he had no super ability.
He could create things.
All right, we're getting off the rails.
Blank.
Do we have a?
What? That took me back. Thank you, King. Thank you, King Dash. That took me back.
let's give our feel in the plum plays, and we'll get out of here. We'll let Roth and TJ and Will do their thing. I'll let Squirrel go first. Who are we feeling in the plums tonight?
Ooh, I'm gonna go Upper and Shingun. I think he's the best center out there, both sites, and it's a pretty good position. So I'll go with Shingun.
I'll take his teammates, Cam Whitmore, as a salary saver. I think he's one of the best players under like 4 or 5 on the slate. What do you got here, Kirkwood? Finish strong.
I was going to say, same game, Jalen Green.
What is happening?
And
right
my
now?
real play is Domantas Sabonis, but I can't stop dancing. Keep it going.
Did I miss a bit from earlier?
Kind of. This is why you got to watch the show. Right.
You know what? Kevin Love is my feel it in the plum. That was organic plum. The organic feel it in my plums play is Kevin Love.
There you go. That was Kirkwood. That was Squirrel Patrol. I was Dean. Stay tuned. FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time. It starts now. You got TJ. You got Will. You have Roth. Roth, take it away.
Thank you. Good stuff as always. I don't know what happened at the end there, but I did like it.
I thought it was Night of the Roxbury RG edition.
That's what it felt like.
A
little bit of that. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed Crunch Time. We're going to take you up to lock. We're going to take you through lock a little bit later than normal, but it looks like we got a pretty good crowd going here. People on a Friday looking for something to do, and we're here to give you some winners. I 5X'd last night. No big deal. No big deal. I took my $1. I turned it into 5. I'm just saying we're winners over here. We're on a hot streak. At least this guy is. Thank you. But TJ's, it turns out some people play more than $1 out in these streets. That's what I hear. Some people play for more than just to play. That's why I play. Some people play to win money. Are we going to do that tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do that tonight. Ready? We got a fun slate, both FanDuel and DraftKings. They cut off the late games, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm tired today. And so I feel like, baby's on the way in a month and 2 months, I guess. So I'm going to be more and more tired as the days go on. So maybe this is actually going to be benefiting me more than I realized.
Okay, we'll give you a little break here. And I'm being told in the chat that if they hit the likes earlier, we're going to get 2 plums, 2 TJ Feel It in Your Plums plays of the day. Did you make that promise, or did someone else make it for you?
Someone else made it for me, but I am a man of the people, so let's get it done.
Okay, that works. We got Chief in the house as well. Chief, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I for one, love getting rid of these dumb late games so I can go and enjoy my family and not have to even sit here and worry about somebody getting hurt and all of this stuff. Like, I love it. Slate ends for me at 8 o'clock East. That's when it ends. Some people say, oh, the slate begins. No. That's when the games start. But for me, I can check out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I say, yep, I'm not thinking about this. And I'll go back and check everything 10, 11 o'clock and see how things are going. But I love it. When I get off this show, I'm going to my son's basketball game, and I'm not going to think about these games. Mostly, I will have my alerts on. His game starts at 7:30. I'll give myself 30 minutes to keep looking at my phone. And then once 8 o'clock hits and the news is done for me, I'm out.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. T from Loke says fading family is plus EV. So it's true though, man. With these late games, it's tough. I don't even make the swaps. Like if somebody's out and I'm not even swapping, I'm just losing my money, my dollar. I don't play much, thankfully. So this is kind of nice for, it's a change. It's been different. It's a change. We'll see if that keeps going through the year and into the new year. Chief.
I think the DFS slights are starting to read the room. Here's what's happening. I started playing DFS in my early 20s. I'm now in my 30s, Raw. So if they're not going to bring in as many new people as the pick'em sites, then they got to find a way to please us middle-aged guys, which is now saying, you know what? They want to enjoy their family time. Let's cut that 10 o'clock game off. And if guys want to sit around and play the satellite slate or the showdown slate, so be it. Anyway, I'm probably in the minority, but I don't care. Love it for my family time.
Yeah, I will say the chat, Chalk Donkey says, all the donkeys love the new slate changes. I guess he is a donkey, I suppose, in that. And Eric says, some of us actually are trying to get away from the family. That's why we're playing it, which I also got a kick out of. All right, guys, let's kind of dive into this slate specifically. Which one of you is going through my cash build? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? It's TJ. Let's talk about the slate a little bit because I've been busy dealing with the NFL cluster bleep of weather for the next few days. So I have not been keeping up. Walk me through what I've missed and what we might still be waiting on.
So biggest news to start the slate out is we just got word that Kelly Oubre is going to be out. And if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't on wasn't on the injury report at all before. So they just released their starters, and it's what we expected because Oubre wasn't expected to start anyways. But Maxey, Melton, Harris, Batum, Reed, Embiid is obviously still out for Philadelphia. So Philly was already a top target for us. Tyrese Maxey is a core tag from Noto. And now that we have Kelly Oubre out, it makes Tobias Harris even stronger. It makes Nick Batum a little stronger. DeAnthony Melton's minutes are even more secure, and it maybe even gives some minutes to the likes of Jaden Springer, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, even Patrick Beverly could pick up a few more now. So they're a team that was already a top target, and now we like them even more. The other teams that I'm going to be looking to target the most on, especially from like an optimal cash game style build, Atlanta will be getting a lot of. They're facing Indiana, who's one of the best possible matchups. You know, maybe we'll see it be not quite as strong without Tyrese Halliburton. We could see them maybe play a little bit slower, but I still think they'll be pushing the tempo. And so Atlanta's a top target for me. Houston, Squirrel mentioned Alperen Şengün as his feel it in your plums play. He's also probably one of the top cash game plays on the slate. And then later on, Miami is going to be without a ton of guys today. And so they're looking really interesting, even in a tough matchup against Orlando. And if Gobert happens to be out, Minnesota could end up being one of the more interesting teams as well. Sorry for my dog right at the end there.
It was totally worth it just to hear you say sorry.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Hey, we should note before we get into these actual builds here that SimLabs is still free, but that is a limited time here. It's in beta right now. By Monday, it's going behind the paywall. You can use it to generate DFS lineups through the power of simulation, combining data from every aspect of the slate, churn out lineups, matching your preferences. It only takes a few clicks. That's what I love about it. It's super simple. You can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups ready to go for whatever contest type you're playing. And now it is for NBA. This is as of like 2-3 days ago. It's brand new. Try it out for free while it's in beta. Check the link in our description. That's where it is. I bet our producer is probably going to put it in the YouTube chat as well because Devin's like that. Also note all combo and NFL premium subs have access to the NFL Sims Lab tool, which you might be needing here as we got some NFL playoffs to talk about.
He did it, everybody. He said Sims Labs.
Yeah. Did I do it wrong?
You nailed it the first time. I was on the show earlier and I said, guys, $5. He says Sims Labs. You nailed it first and then you went back. You reverted.
Well, I started with the read and I looked at it. It said Sim Labs. I made sure I got it right. And then I started just going off the cuff, feeling good. And I brought in the Sims.
I love it.
You know, we should rename it, rebrand it. Sims Lab sounds cooler anyways.
I'll let everybody know right now.
Yeah, we're rebranding. Everyone get the marketing department on the phone. Anyways, check it out. It's really cool. It's one of the most exciting products that we've had here, if not the most exciting in a long time. So I highly recommend you check it out. With that out of the way, let's dive into a FanDuel build. And TJ, you are up. You're under the gun. Let me know what we got going on.
Yeah, so 2 core plays we got. We got the first position, the point guard, and then the last position, center. Tyrese Maxey and Alperen Şengün. Noto's got them tagged. Couldn't agree more. They're 2 priorities today. They're going to be highly owned, which we're perfectly fine with for cash. The other person you're considering, we'll get to center later. Starting at the point guard position, Maxey is for sure the guy you're putting in. And then after that, you have some options. So Jalen Green, point guard and shooting guard eligibility, he's fine there. DeAnthony Melton, point guard, shooting guard eligibility, he's all good there. And then Mike Conley and Trey Jones are the other 2 guys you're looking at. If I'm choosing one to avoid there, I think they're all perfectly fine plays. I'm picking one to avoid. It's definitely Mike Conley. I think he's got the lowest floor and the lowest ceiling of this group. It's Portland they're playing against. This could easily turn out to a blowout, and Mike Conley could play 20 minutes. And so he's a clear scratch off for me. I'd probably be going Maxey and Trey Jones here. Charlotte plays at a much faster pace with LaMelo Ball on the court. They brought that up on crunch time. They're one of the slowest teams in the league without LaMelo. They're one of the fastest. On GrindersLive. They're one of the fastest teams in the league with LaMelo. And so Trey Jones going up against them at 5,600, I think is a great play. I'd probably go Jones and Maxey there. Then as we shoot over to the shooting guard position, I would probably want to use Jalen Green and who's the other one I just mentioned? Geez, I went brain blank there. D'Anthony Melton was the other guy I talked about. But the other guy I'd want to throw in would be Andrew Nembhard going against that Atlanta team. I actually probably like him a little bit better than Melton as well. And so Nembhard is another guy with shooting guard eligibility I'd rank a little bit ahead. And so I would go Maxey 1, Jalen Green 2, Trey Jones 3, Andrew Nembhard 4 would be how I'd rank it. And Green and Nembhard also have shooting guard eligibility. At the other guys at the shooting guard position, the only other ones I'd consider would be Josh Richardson and Luke Kennard, but they both also have small forward eligibility, so you can play them there. Benedict Mathurin, another guy with small forward eligibility, he's fine. At $5,700, I don't mind going that route at all either. Small forward position, Richardson, Kennard, Jaden McDaniels are 3 options that are perfectly fine here. Mentioned Mathurin. I'd probably want to spend up either at this position or the power forward in the mid-range for a Tobias Harris. Make sure I get him in one of those spots. I'd probably include him as a core play now that Kelly Oubre is out. And then Jaime Jaquez at 6,100. It's a tough matchup going against Orlando, but I still think he is totally viable because of how many guys they have out. Power forward, McDaniels, Tobias Harris, McDaniels in the low range, Tobias Harris in the mid range, and then Domantas Sabonis if you're spending up. I think with all those salary savers we're getting through the shooting guard and small forward positions, if we can spend up for Sabonis and Harris together at the power forward alongside Şengün and Maxey, that's kind of 4 mid-range spend ups we get there, and that would be my favorite way to go about a build here. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns would become a lot more enticing if Rudy Gobert is out, but that may come a little bit too late with him being a game-time decision. We may not know that until after the 7:30 games lock, and it'll be a little bit harder to mix him in there.
Okay.
Very center good. Position. Final. Sorry, I had some.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I had to take a breath. But I couldn't get it done quick enough to pivot to center.
I'm arguing with people on Twitter about weather in Buffalo, so I should have been paying better attention.
Şengün or Adebayo, that's your choice. I think it's Şengün. Noto's got Şengün tagged. Easy, and he's squirrels field in your plums plays. So that's the clear edge. But if you, for some reason, feel like Adebayo is way better, I can't tell you you're wrong. He's in a good spot too.
Okay, excellent stuff. Let's get some tournament takes here from our guy Chief. He's been just silently waiting in the wings. He's ready. He's charged up. He's energized. He's ready to pounce. And by the way, the folks have been asking for some props in the chat as well, if you wanted to hook them up with that. But let's start here with the DFS in these DFS streets.
Listen, I got props for days. Too many to name. I'll hand them out. Let's go. So for me today, Rob, this slate for me is more of a game-by-game slate. And what I mean is I'm attacking games more than I'm attacking players tonight just because of some of these situations. So we've got Sacramento, Philly. I actually really like this game. And one of my favorite plays from this game for tournaments, Domantas Sabonis. If you haven't been noticing, Sabonis has been going nuclear for the past month, and nobody's paying it any attention. He's just silently destroying people every other night, basically giving you 45 or more most games with upside for 60, 65. I like what he's been doing. So he's one of my top tournament plays. They don't have Embiid tonight. Who in the world is going to stop Domantas Sabonis? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? I don't know, but no one's stopping DS tonight. In that game, De'Aaron Fox has actually been struggling, but he's 8,800, Rob. See, the price is coming down. I mean, we've seen some awful performance. I think in the last 3 games, he might have one performance that's like, I don't know, 18 fantasy points. Not cutting it. Doesn't matter. Game on the road, tight spread, 241.5 total. And these guys are getting ignored because of Indiana and Atlanta. I think that's a mistake. So I really like this game. Want to get those guys plugged in. We already know that Kevin Huerter's not going to be playing tonight. This guy's probably a little bit overpriced, but I don't care. In the same game, we got Malik Monk going to be coming off the bench, probably playing 30 minutes if this is close, Raw. All minutes aren't created equal. He's going to be a usage monster off the bench. Just running out there scoring points, assisting. I mean, he's had some games, Rob. I think he's had 7, 8, 9 assists off the bench, including the scoring. So I love what Malik Monk has been doing. Going to have him in some lineups. Don't hate Keegan Murray as well. Of course, on the other side, the obvious play, people want to play Maxey. People want to play Tobias Harris. I think Marcus Morris is even more viable with Kelly Oubre out of the game. Next game up, we've got Atlanta. We've got Indiana. This is a big one, 252 total. And the Pacers still have these guys so cheap because the minutes are all over the place, Ross. So Nembhard might play 30 minutes tonight. He might play 15 minutes tomorrow, 21 minutes the next game. So the sites can't really price up the peripheral guys, right? They can price up Tyrese Halliburton. Oh, wait a minute. Tyrese Halliburton's not playing basketball today. We get all these guys available. So if I'm playing this game, I'm playing Nembhard, I'm playing Brown, I'm playing Neesmith, I'm playing Jalen Smith, I'm playing Benedict, I'm playing Buddy Hield, I'm playing Obi Toppin, but I'm not going to play all of them together. I don't think you play more than 2 at a time because you're not sure who's going to get the minutes. But I love these guys. Miles Turner, I think he's just okay. I think the field feels better about Miles Turner than I do. I'm not really interested because he's all over the place and he's 7,600, and I'm just not a big Miles Turner fan. So he could just sit on the shelf for all I care. That's my read on that. Trae Young is 10-2. He's expensive. They're at home. I think you get him in. DeJounte Murray, 8,200. I'll talk about him later. Jalen Johnson, somewhat of a revelation, Raw, just continuing to just dominate fantasy performances. 45, 50. I think he's even got a 60 burger here recently. I think he had like a 15 rebound game or somewhere close. Jaylen Brown has been amazing. Price has caught up with him on FanDuel. I think we can squeeze a little bit more blood out of this turnip, Roth. Only today, though, as they face the Indiana Pacers in a really nice pace-up game. So I like that one. This is a game that may be slightly off the beaten path. I'm not exactly sure how many people are on this game, but Toronto, Utah, folks. I'm not sure if you noticed. Utah's not playing any defense. They're god awful. They're terrible. All these games are high scoring. Wait a minute. The total's 242. Should be telling us something. But look at the ownership, Rob. We hardly have anything in this game. Give me the Utah-Toronto game. Quickly's more expensive than he should be. RJ's probably more expensive than he should be. Scotty's more expensive. Thaddeus Young, we don't know what they're going to do. This is why no one wants to play this game. I think you put these guys in a group quickly. RJ, Scotty, Pascal. You load them up and you say, hey, I don't know which guy's going to get there, but if I'm playing multiple lineups, I get one. Oh, looks like Devin is cutting in. Devin,
it's not on the slate, actually. Toronto, Utah.
Oh,
that's one of the later games.
You're right. See, look at that.
That does explain why the ownership is so low.
I'm trying to get away from my family. I'm kidding. Let's go back. One last game. Charlotte, San Antonio, LaMelo's back. I'm not as interested in the Charlotte guys, but I do like Nicky Richie. I think he's a little bit too cheap. He's 5,900. I think this is a spot where he can put up some numbers. I know that Victor Wembanyama is 10K. I can't do it, Roth. Everybody's excited about it because he's putting up 50 fantasy points in 25 minutes. I can't do it. But I don't.
And I saw somebody. I'm glad you brought that up. I saw somebody say like no mention of Wemby. I'm trying to scroll up and find it. He's like no Wemby. He's gonna crush in this spot. Like yes, but also in those minutes, as incredible as he's been, what's he gonna? Is he gonna get 60 or 70 fantasy points? Like it's just in 25 minutes. It's just such a huge ask, right? You can't do it.
Hey folks, listen, my bad. I will be playing I do have some lineups in for this late slate. My bad on the Utah Toronto. I just couldn't pass it up. Like the game's too good. Yeah. But anyway, I don't have to deal with it. But I do have props to that game as well.
Okay.
I was going to say, if anything, that's just a sign for you late slaters. You should be playing that game.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Need to play.
We are getting people asking about some props. You want to dive into it now, or do you still have some other thoughts you want to get into?
Let's go. I will go down the line very quickly, Ross. People might want to keep up. I've got a whole scroll of these things. I'm just going to hand them out.
Just give us like 3 or 4. We don't need 72.
Well, okay.
I know you're deep in those prop streets.
They're all good though. Jaime Jaquez at 4.5 rebounds. I got less than that. Bam Adebayo, I got him at 4.5 and 5.5. Some places I got less than that. You said just give out 3 or 4. Desmond Bane, I got him at 39.5 points, rebounds, assists. Too many guys out playing the Clippers. I got less than that. as well.
Okay, very good. With that, we have essentially covered Butthole Jenkins saying Wemby could get a quad double in 17 minutes for Charlotte. You're not wrong.
But if that happens, I will quit. I'm kidding. I'm not quitting. That's not happening.
As we're considering playing Victor Wembanyama on a 26-minute limit, let's just take a second to appreciate that as long as everything is good and he stays healthy, we are witnessing the best fantasy producing player of our lifetime.
Yeah,
that's what he will be.
And also just one of the most incredible NBA players I've ever freaking seen. I love watching that dude play. It's amazing. We should note, by the way, we started on FanDuel. It's because Crunch Time is presented by FanDuel. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. For new users in Arizona, Colorado,
Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. I wanted you to do it at the same time so we could see who would go faster.
You weren't ready for the smoke. I just let you have your moment. For those of you in the great state of Vermont, you now have access to FanDuel Sportsbook as well with a special offer. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets on any market. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Next time we're having a promo off. Same time read, TJ. I hope you're ready for it.
It's actually so hard to make sure you're reading and not listening to the other person.
Yeah, no, it really is. CW pointing out the true GOAT of the fantasy points per minute. It's my guy Boban. Boban could get it done.
Wembanyama does Boban things while being good at basketball, though.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, oh man, he's so fun. Where are we? Oh yeah, DK. I don't know why I just made a noise. But we're on DK. TJ, what's the build?
I'm going to make a super quick tournament note that I like on both sites before I do the cash build quick, and that's with the Philadelphia centers. Paul Reed is projecting for 1.8% ownership right now, and Mo Bamba is projecting for less than 1% ownership right now on both on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel, Paul Reed less than 5, Mo Bamba none. I think both of these are elite tournament plays. As amazing as Sabonis is offensively, he's that bad defensively. So if Paul Reed is able to stay out of foul trouble, he's going to have a massive game. If Paul Reed is unable to stay out of foul trouble, Bomba's going to have to play minutes because they're not going to put Marcus Morris out there on Sabonis full time. And so Bomba's going to have to play minutes, and then he should do a great job there. So Paul Reed and Mo Bamba, I think, are two elite tournament options. And then I also want to touch on the Houston guys. We love Şengün. We love Van Vliet. We love Jabari Smith. We love Jalen Green. But for tournaments, if you want to play the blowout angle, play Cam Whitmore. He's a great value play today. He is picking up a decent amount of ownership on DraftKings. On FanDuel, not so much there, though I think he's still perfectly viable there. And then additionally, I think you can pair him with Whitmore, or you can play him alone. Amen Thompson, I think, is a great tournament play going against Detroit. If that's a blowout, he could end up absolutely smashing today. Now going back to a cash build, in Şengün, their core plays on this site as well. I believe that they should be. I think that is exactly how it should go. So other point guards you can consider getting into your lineup somewhere. Josh Richardson has point guard eligibility, and Malik Monk has point guard eligibility. Both of them are point guard, shooting guard, totally fine to play in the shooting guard position. At the other guard position, DeJounte Murray would probably be the only other guy I'd consider because he's so cheap. And then Andrew Nembhard, I want to throw in for tournaments because I don't understand why he's picking up sub 5% ownership today. Nembhard to me should be 20% owned today. He and McConnell, I want to get to both of them in tournaments, and neither of them are picking up any ownership. Shooting guard position, it's a lot more of the same, but you throw in Jalen Green. So Jalen Green becomes one of the very top options here alongside Malik Monk, Josh Richardson, and then Luke Kennard is another viable salary saver here. If you want to plug in as many of these guys as you can throughout the positions, the guard position, the shooting guard, and then the utility, nothing wrong with that. Although if you can use your second utility spot for Sabonis, that'd be the ideal situation. Small forward, DeRozan is kind of popping a little bit. He's fine, but I don't love it. I would way rather go to Tobias Harris for $100 more. Like, that is by far the guy that I would rather play. Jaime Jaquez is not getting a ton of ownership, but I'm still fine with him for cash, and I also love him for tournaments. Cam Whitmore is fine if you land on him in a cash game. Power forward position, again, if you're choosing between DeMar and Tobias, go with Tobias. Jabari Smith is fine. Somebody like a Sadiq Bey, a Nick Batum, Jaime Jaquez, they're all fine. But the priority, if PJ Washington ruled out, Cody Martin ruled out. So Chief, you may have to let us know what that means as a Charlotte guy and a tournament guy, what that might mean for tournaments with no PJ Washington, no Cody Martin, LaMelo Ball officially in. The one thing I'd wait on is Naz Reid is probably one of the very best plays on the slate if Rudy Gobert is out. And Towns gets way better as well. So both of those guys, if you get Gobert out, they become cash game eligible as well. And finally, the only other center I would want to throw in there is Domantas Sabonis. Like Chief said, he's just a smash play today. That maybe is more of a tournament thing. Projections are saying go with Adebayo as opposed to Sabonis if you're doing the double center build. But geez, I would just way rather do Sabonis because, like Chief said, he's been absolutely smashing. Finally, if you're choosing between, if you have Adebayo in your lineup and then you get Gobert out, just go with Karl Anthony Towns instead.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's kick it over to Chief for some tournament thoughts here. Am I the only one struggling for value here, Chief? Is there value that I'm just missing out on that we feel good about?
It's well, the value may be relative to not spending all the way up. And there are some cheap guys, but the mid-range, I think, is where the value is, especially on DK. So for me in this particular spot, still going to play Malik Monk tonight, still going to play all these guys from the Sacramento game, from the Philly game. In the Atlanta and Indy game, I'm probably going to forego DeJounte on FanDuel, load up on DraftKings. He's 7,200. Roth, that's value, actually, because he probably should be 8K. 7,200. Look, I know he's kind of the second or third fiddle, but there's a spot he could put up 4,550, and at 7,200, that's going to go a long way in trying to help you take down some tournaments. So I like him a bunch. Jalen Johnson, remember, he's 7,900 on FanDuel. He's 7,200 on DraftKings. He's got 40, 50-point upside. So that's also going to yield you some interesting results. Still have the cheap guys up there on with Indiana. So you're still going to have that. In terms of another cheapie, we already know that Kyle Lowry is out. Tyler Hero is also out. One of the Martins is out. Tyler Hero's out. And Jimmy Butler's out, and Kyle Lowry. Josh Richardson now should be at 35 minutes tonight at 4,700. Roth, you wanted some value. I think that's good value, even in this spot against Orlando. They're at home. So, and he's cheap on FanDuel as well. But Josh Richardson, since you're looking for value, Roth, that's just for you. You've got this value in the Memphis game. I'm not thrilled about it. In the Memphis game, I'd only be playing the cheap guys. I think this has blowout written all over it. So I don't really want to get anybody in there. Also in that same Miami game, you've got Nikola Jovic at 4,800. Probably going to get a few minutes. Projections may not completely agree, but if he gets 30 minutes again, Rob, he's shown some ability to get you 25-plus fantasy points. So I don't hate Jovic. That's another cheap guy for you in that particular game. Also, and then we're going to move down here to the Charlotte game again. We've got Nick Richards at 5,700. Like it even more on DraftKings because he does have double upside and could absolutely get here in that spot. So I like him a ton. Here's where I'm going to plant my flag on DraftKings, though, Rob. The mid-range with the Bulls. So once again, I'm not playing all of them in every lineup. I'm not playing them together. But Kobe White at 7,400. Zach LaVine at 7,400. DeMar DeRozan at 7,100. Nikola Vucevic at 7,300. I think all these guys are a tick too cheap where I feel like Vucevic should be more like 78, 8K. DeRozan should probably be 75. LaVine is probably closest to where he should be. Kobe White should probably be 77 considering where his upside has been consistently. I think all of these Bulls are a little bit too cheap. And so I think we need to be including those guys in the lineups. And if we can get smart Steve Kerr tonight as the head coach, Give me Trace Jackson Davis at 5,200. Just give him 30 minutes, Steve. Quit running old young man Kevon Looney out here and screwing things up. Just give us TJD. Let us see the upside, and we'll feel good about our tournament lineups.
Okay, very good. Guys, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes or so until lock. TJ, anything you want to add before we dive into some of these QQs?
If you want to make yourself a nice, cheap value tournament lineup that will be very low owned and has upside, go for the Rockets, Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore. For Detroit, Ausar Thompson. And then you can play whatever expensive player you want today. I recommend getting some Sabonis and Tyrese Maxey in there.
Okay. What position is Whitmore on DK?
Small forward.
Oh, what do you know? That's what I need, baby. Ooh, a little pricey, but we can figure that out. Okay. Very good, guys. Let's dive into some QQs. Thank you for that, guys. Let's see what we got. Scrolling up, starting in the RG Discord, as always, because that's where the cool kids are hanging out. Here we go. FanDuel GPP, thoughts on Wemby with that nuts matchup here. TJ, you want to mention it? Because Chief and I kind of said can't do it.
I have him in one lineup.
Out of how many?
20.
Okay. FanDuel cash question, TJ, you want Tobias and Batum or Jalen Green and Tyus Jones?
Second one.
Okay.
Or Trey Jones, that would be.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Booley's FanDuel GPP. Are there any games that you're making sure you have players from in every lineup? Chief, any games that you're making sure you have players from in every single lineup?
Yeah, on FanDuel, for sure, Sac, Philly, Indiana, Atlanta, and Charlotte, San Antonio.
Okay. Eagles Nation says, I got pulled over and had to tune out for a little bit. First off, you got to tell us what you were doing. Were you speeding? Were you swerving? What were you doing? Second, your favorite player for a single entry is Sasser or PBev usable, Chief?
I don't like it. No,
I think Beverly's usable for what it's worth. I'm getting to a little bit of them in tournaments.
Okay.
I don't trust it enough with Melton back.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my only concern.
Okay. A FanDuel GPP, Chief, right back to you here. Scrub, last piece of small forward. Champagny or Duarte, parentheses, PJ Tucker light?
I guess I'd go with Champagne. I don't like either one. I don't trust either one to play big minutes.
Okay. And here, Steve O kind of following up on that PBev thing. Who's the backup for Melton with him potentially still on a minutes limit? Bev, Springer.
It's Bev, but I need so many guys to be out before I'm getting Patrick Beverly. But that's just me.
Oubre being out is why I don't mind considering it. Is because they could run a lot of small ball guard lineups today.
Yeah. Okay. Eagles got.
I think they play Marcus Morris more minutes. That's my concern. I think Morris gets 28 minutes, and Pat Bev is stuck with 15 to 20. But
okay. NBA DFS says FanDuel cash TJ Melton or Green. Jay Green.
I'd go Jalen Green.
Okay. What else do we got in the YouTube chat? Briefly, we're less than a minute until lock here. Memphis Williams in a DK GPP.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Lucas says, what about Barrett? TJ, got any Barrett?
That's a late slate question for so Chief, are you getting to any RJ Barrett stuff today with your Raptors?
Oh yeah, in that game for sure.
Yeah, okay. K-Town's Finest says Caleb Martin off the bench for the Heat. Oh, what? He's out. I'm just seeing Caleb Martin.
No, I think Derek is incorrect. That's Cody Martin that is out. Caleb Martin is in for Miami.
Ooh, good work. Good work.
That's his twin brother. So yes, he is totally viable off the bench.
Look at you. We're just like heading off potential issues. Good stuff, TJ. What else do we got here? Do we get to thoughts on Jaden McDaniels and FanDuel Cash, TJ?
As a last piece, but not a priority.
Okay.
He's fine though if you land there.
Okay. I love this question from Jay Sands. We just hit lock here. If I'm not playing Maxey, parentheses, gulp, are you okay with Melton and Harris together?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Separate question, McDaniels or Nard Dog? McDaniels or Kennard?
What was that for?
Not sure. It was FanDuel single entry.
On FanDuel, I think you got to go McDaniels because of the steal block upside.
Okay.
For what it's worth, Rudy Gobert is in, so that drastically decreases how much we like Karl Anthony Towns and potentially Naz Reid as well.
I think I had Naz Reid in. Let's see here. No, I got him. Good. Hey, you guys want to talk about NFL weather really quick for like 1 minute? And by you guys,
I love NFL weather. I've loaded up on that game with all those unders, and you just keep telling us it's bad, Roth. And I'm going to keep hitting the under button. Carolina, the Carolina game that you talked about before was a money printing press. I'm going to use this game as another money printing press.
Good.
I trust you with all my heart, Kevin Roth. Tell us about the weather.
That's what I love to hear. All right.
Look,
so
Roth, if you just want to talk to Devin and join Will and I on the pre-lock show tomorrow, you're welcome to.
I'm good. I got, I'm all right. Thanks, though. Thanks, guys.
That's the equivalent to Squirrel saying, not yet.
Not yet. Here's the issue. Weather doesn't matter in the NFL. Eric Johnson just said. Somebody ban that. I like Eric Johnson too, but that does not fly over here. Here's what's killing me on Twitter is that people are exaggerating how bad it's going to be. So I find myself in the corner of like, it's not going to, it's 65 mile per hour winds. No, it's not in Buffalo. It's 40 mile per hour winds. And now I'm coming across as a guy who thinks the weather's nice. It's not nice. The weather's shitty. It's 40 mile per hour winds in Buffalo. It might snow really, really hard, or the snow band might set up just south of the stadium and they get only a little bit of snow. We don't know. It's going to be bad, I can tell you that. But these posts that some people are doing just absolutely killing me, pretending, look, oh, yeah, here we go. See, this is my fight. Go ahead. Show whoever, whatever dummy posted that. The real weather is ugly enough. You don't need to fudge the truth to add drama to it. That's the facts right there. Anyways, some people are just going way over the top. I think the weather's going to matter. I love the unders. The totals dropped a ton. I don't care. I think it should drop even more. And then in Kansas City, it's freaking freezing. The feels like temperature is going to be TJ Zwarych-esque, 25 degrees below zero. It's just brutal weather. Give me the unders. Give me the rushing props. Give me the unders and the passing props. Do all those things. Chief, you doing all those props? You're muted, but I assume you're saying yes.
Yeah, I took under the total in that game. I think I got it at 34.5, and I might have been too late, but I didn't care. I was just hammering unders, like, under pass attempts, under pass completion. I am taking over rushing attempts because they're just going to be turning around, handing it off.
That's my guy. You get it.
Like, we're just, it is what it is. These are the edges that we have when the weatherman, the actual weatherman, by the way, not the fake guy, the real Kevin Roth, tells us, guys, okay.
It's gonna matter.
I'll say this, and I know we got to go, Roth, because we're past your pay time.
I need
Roth
some here too because we got more news.
Okay. You've marked it as red. Like, just go with the flow, folks.
Yeah, it's true. All right, TJ, what's up? We got some more news.
Richardson not starting.
Yeah, Josh Richardson is not.
He's still going to play 30 minutes. I can assure you this.
I think he is too. Nikola Jovic is in there. Highsmith is in there. Who got popped out of the starting lineup who is starting for him that we weren't expecting? Duncan Robinson. So I do think while Josh Richardson is absolutely in play, what I will say is Jaime Jaquez starting at point guard is an even better play than he was before. And Duncan Robinson now in the starting lineup is a totally viable play for cash and for tournaments.
Okay. Very good. With that, I think we are going to bounce on out of here. So for TJ, for Chief, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.